always a relief when you go from fighting a lone battle to having your buddies show up to back you up. After all, it establishes a sense of camaraderie that your opponents would never be able to achieve. You seem to sure like that kind of action, so here I am again with Volume 2 of the top 25 times when reinforcements arrived in films and TV. When the first Guardians of the Galaxy film came out in 2014, no one was expecting it to become much of a success, maybe not even James Gunn himself. However, we got the perfect mix of action and comedy that birthed one of the most memorable underdog franchises in recent history. Now, when it comes to reinforcements helping out in the nick of time, look no further than the battle between the Ravagers and the Dark Aster.
They got my dick message!
Prove me wrong.
Sure, we had the Guardians doing their best to beat Ronan, but there's only so much you can manage with limited resources. I mean, even a dude like Elon Musk ended up selling PayPal in order to get into SpaceX and Tesla. Luckily, the Nova Corps came in at the right time to save the day, and it was very much needed because things weren't looking good for the Ravagers, especially after Yondu got shot. I also like the little chat between Star-Lord and Supernova. Bro wanted to be proven wrong and got what he asked for soon after. Man, these are the high-stakes battles that I really miss from back in the day. Yes, this film is almost a decade old now, so it qualifies for that kind of statement.
Locked in! Locked in!
Arnold Schwarzenegger may have been the main man to popularize the utility of a chopper, but Guy Ritchie carried on that legacy with an epic scene in his own 2023 production, The Covenant. We all love a last-minute rescue, and this scene truly captures how crucial it turns out to be. With John and Ahmed at their wits' end having run out of ammo, there wasn't much that could be expected of them, but that's exactly when the AC-130 Apache helicopter dropped by to wipe out all the enemies with a savage onslaught. I guess it's a good thing that the villains were so generalized that their deaths didn't even matter. After all, it sure looked like a brutal way to go. The white thermal vision of the gunner was a chilling sight as well. Imagine seeing all these little figures who are actually murderous and skilled gunmen when you get a closer look. It's kind of amazing to see what technology can do to obliterate such soldiers. It can turn one guy into a literal god of death, even if it's for a few seconds. I also want to shout out Eddie Parker for coming in with his own squad for backup. It was really weird seeing Anthony Starr play a role that isn't Homelander, but hey, I guess bro didn't want to get typecast or anything like that.
Trigger. FOB2, this is Spectre 3-7. We are all clear.
I don't know about the Gen Z TikTok kids, but us millennials and the people before us had one ultimate hero during our time growing up. Chuck freaking Norris. I know this video is about reinforcements, implying that there'll be multiple saviors, but Chuck Norris is more than enough to take down an entire army, as can be seen here in Expendables 2. Barney and his men are having a tough time against the opposition, and with Lee Christmas taking some time to reach the scene, I'll admit that even I got a little bit worried. Luckily, Norris came to the rescue with an assault so deadly that even a freaking tank was smashed without mercy. I guess Ross really meant it when he told his team not to freak out. I like how they paid homage to Norris's role in Good Guys Wear Black by naming his character Booker, but I suppose a legend like him deserves that respect. I mean, bro was the origin of bro jokes before they were even a thing, and he actually acknowledged that with the Cobra joke too. It was a nice little addition of meta humor that gave the sequel a lot more value than what people were expecting.
Kill us all!
I did mention Arnie a couple of entries ago with the chopper scene, so it almost feels like my duty to include him in this list. Of course, there's no bias involved here because the Terminator's rescue scene from Judgment Day does qualify as a moment where reinforcements came to the scene. The T-1000 was the most menacing villain from the entire Terminator franchise, so for Arnie to show up and shoot him multiple times with his shotgun was a pretty satisfying sight.
Help her!
Wait here.
Let's not forget the total look of terror on Sarah Connor's face when she sees the Terminator coming out of the elevator. It was a genuine reaction. But I also love how she immediately accepts this dude is a good T-800 right after being so horrified by it. I know it might sound sarcastic, but I do mean it. That sort of pragmatism isn't common enough in movies where she sees it's clearly not malicious. I mean, her son's with the dude, isn't he? Also, it's clearly an emergency with no time to waste, so it reinforces that Sarah's a smart character, you know? I can easily see a corny little exchange where she's like, get away from that thing, it's bad, and then they waste a minute or two with a little argument about it. Luckily, James Cameron was still in the bag when this film was made, so we got an amazing plot progression instead. find this extremely creepy, but I've got to include it because it's got an amazing rescue scene in it.
Get out of there now! Dive!
Humans and bugs have always had an odd relationship where those of us who are normal find them disgusting and the ones who are disgusting find them normal. Right, that was a joke, so I hope I didn't offend any insect fanatics out there. But I suppose even though these guys would freak out upon seeing the kind of massive bugs Carl and the team came across in 2005's King Kong, it really was a lost cause, with each team member getting eaten up one after another till Bruce and his men came in with heavy artillery. Bruce's redemption here is criminally underrated. He's only an actor who falls like a lawn chair when the group first encounters Dinosaur on the island. Like, he was so scared to even be near them back then, but now when push comes to shove, he ends up becoming a real version of the swashbuckling hero he used to play, swinging from a vine with a Tommy gun to save the day. You could even say this inspired John to man up and become braver as the film progressed. I've always pointed out how weird it is for a woman like Wanda getting with Vision, who's basically a baby robot. Even so, it's not right to have them hunted down by the likes of Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive. The sneak attack on Vision really rendered him useless for the entirety of Infinity War, so it was all on Wanda, who didn't have the benefit of Darkhold magic at that point. Luckily, Captain America comes to save the day with Falcon and Black Widow, so we get to see an amazing battle unfold. I remember how tense this scene was back when I saw it in the cinema. We'd just seen Thor getting his butt handed to him, Hulk getting beaten like a side piece, half of Asgard dead, Loki dead, and it pretty much looked like the end for Wanda and Vision as well. This is why Cap's entrance works so well in context, because the danger was unlike anything we've seen before in the MCU. And just as Wanda and Vision looked relieved to see help coming, we also felt the same way. Of course, if the Scarlet Witch from the Multiverse of Madness was here, then everybody probably would have ended in 2 business seconds.
I am the one, the way your son don't...
Well, and I must be commode hanging drunk, but I swear I see a ton of trucks.
Hey, have you ever seen this one before? Let me know in the comments, okay? Burt Reynolds was a legend when it came to the classic films of the older eras, and his role as Bo the Bandit is one of the more fondly remembered characters he's played. Now, in the sequel to Smokey and the Bandit, there's the desert scene where Buford lures Bo and Cletus into his trap that involves all those patrol cruisers coming at them. Luckily for our hero, Cletus made sure to get backup in the form of his trucker pals, and what followed was an amazing sight. It truly was a game of chicken, and the way everything plays out is perfectly thrilling, especially if you consider how much of a pain it would have been to shoot the whole thing. Mind you, there is no CGI at play here, just real cars, real trucks, real stunt drivers, and real practical effects in the real desert. The choreography and synchronization definitely needed to be on point for us to get a classic. Damn, what a time it must have been to shoot movies in the 70s and 80s. This is why I'll always continue to mention them wherever I can. Well, there's definitely some kind of trend going on when it comes to military soldiers being rescued by their chopper forces at the very last minute. 2002's We Were Soldiers may not be a blockbuster hit, but it gave us a rather impressive final battle where Colonel Hal Moore led his troops to secure victory against Huon and his base camp. While the whole thing may seem like some kind of planned assault, it's not like our heroes were going to win the face-off with these. I mean, Moore was going to get shot right in the face had it not been for Bruce Crandall coming in the very last minute with his choppers to save the day. The destruction that follows is a pretty one-sided affair, but that doesn't take away from how precariously Moore's troops were placed until backup arrived. Mel Gibson sure has a thing for portraying leaders of war-driven groups. It's like bro wasn't satisfied enough with Braveheart, so he decided to give it another shot with this film. But yeah, this film did resonate with soldiers who can actually relate to the wars, so it does deserve credit for getting the tone right.
Many men have gone.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Remember when Jennifer Lawrence said that she was the first female lead action hero in the film industry? Yeah, I'm sure a lot of guys wanted what she was smoking at that time, because that's just an outright lie. I already mentioned Sarah Connor in the Terminator entry, so now we've got Ellen Ripley in what is easily Sigourney Weaver's most iconic role of all time. She cemented herself as a certified badass in the Alien franchise, so to see her face off against the Alien Queen was a sight for sore eyes. The fact that she did this just to protect Newt only goes on to show how well written she is as a character. Despite being a normal woman with no ridiculous plot armor to boost her strength, she identified her limitations and got into the mecha suit to make it a fair fight. Even the sounds are so loud and sharp, and the lack of soundtrack for most of the scene allows this to be emphasized. These sound effects really made the final battle far more riveting than the visuals alone could have achieved. It also feels so realistic that I definitely count on Ripley to come and save me if I ever found myself up against an alien queen.
I don't think so. We'll see.
Yes, this was the on your left moment from my childhood. People may not have enjoyed the prequel trilogy from Star Wars back when it first released, but now with the huge mess the franchise finds itself in, I think we can all come to appreciate how good it actually is in comparison. Take the Jedi rescue from Attack of the Clones, for instance. It's such a surreal moment, especially when all the chips are down for our heroes. Just when Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, and that chick from Black Swan are about to get it, Yoda, Nick Fury, and a bunch of Jedi clones show up to save the day. I love how Windu holds his lightsaber against Jango's neck like an actual sword, and his opponent actually flinches from it. Also, seeing him execute a somersault backflip whilst on fire, deflecting all the incoming blaster shots and pulling off a perfect 10 landing after a long drop was peak athletics in the Star Wars universe. Samuel L. Jackson can really do a lot more than just hurl abuse at you. But yeah, this moment is really meaningful and instills a strong sense of euphoria that most fans were craving, especially after the events of the OG trilogy.
No.
This one's a gem for all the movies and gaming fans of the world. It was rather odd at first to see someone like Steven Spielberg directing something like Ready Player One, but then again, bro's always been about big picture stuff and it really gets bigger than this. The battle at Planet Doom for the Crystal Key had all kinds of reinforcements coming in for Wade and Samantha. It also doubled up as a nice fan service moment. Just think about it. A samurai jumps out of the freaking Serenity, transforms into a goddamn Gundam.
Are you in the Sixer War Room? No, you gotta get out of there.
They're playing adventure.
And lands on top of the freaking Mecha Godzilla, who just beat the living daylights out of the Iron Giant. Like, how do I not like this movie, right? There were Spartans, Overwatch characters, Ninja Turtles. It was a dream come true for gaming fans everywhere. Can you even imagine this scene if copyright wasn't a thing? You'd probably be seeing Goku face off against Superman or Optimus Prime fighting King Kong. I really wish they tried to capitalize on such concepts and give us something new in Hollywood rather than just rehashing the same old formula again and again. I never thought I'd include a scene from this film, but stranger things have happened, haven't they? I also have to admit that the special effects and CGI on display here still hold up over 20 years after the first film premiered. Take the Zion battle where Morpheus and Niobe crashed the Logos ship into the shipyard. It's one of the few occasions when you actually want to cheer for Jada Pinkett Smith, so that in itself is a big deal. Anyway, the stakes are high because Agent Smith has pretty much become the epicenter of the Matrix. After assimilating its entire population, so the sudden arrival does mark a change in the tide to some extent. I think it's pretty hilarious to see the Sentinels running from their lives as soon as the ship arrives, because it shows they know the Logos means bad news.
You, I believe. Stay dead!
Bruce Willis may be having his issues now, but don't forget that he's given us so many amazing performances across various roles over the years. One such performance that's gone under the radar was as Lieutenant A.K. Waters in Tears of the Sun, so the TV region's here to shine some light on it. Basically, Waters and his SEAL team are trapped at the border crossing with around 300 Nigerian rebels in their way.
Run, come on! Get down, get head down!
With Zeke injured and the rebels closing in, it was safe to say that the SEALs weren't in a good position. Now, if I was in their place, I'd probably have turned myself in fast, and Taylor Swift burns the environment with their private jet. However, Waters is a man of action, so he managed to bring in the right kind of jets to the party by calling in for backup. For once, we don't get to see choppers doing all the work, and let's face it, it always looks cooler this way. As per what I've read, the movie was based on an actual mission, so that just makes the whole thing so much better in context. If we remove the skinny Venom from this film, then it's not all a bad finale to the Raimi trilogy. We got to see Symbiote Spider-Man, there's Sandman doing his thing, and most importantly, this is the movie that gave us Bully Maguire. As far as reinforcements are concerned, Peter Parker gets it from the most unexpected place as Harry Osborn comes to the scene as the new Green Goblin.
This thing got any more? Hang on! To what?
To be honest, I was so glad to see him land those Goblin bombs on Sandman because it really didn't look like Spider-Man was going to make it.
Came.
All those punches must have really done a number on him, so for Harry to drop by at such an opportune time really elevated the impact of the final battle. Yeah, we all know how it ends and it's pretty emotional, but the point remains that Spidey wouldn't have been able to win it had it not been for his buddy. I love how the Goblin theme, which is usually associated with evil and destruction, is used heroically when he arrives here, which just goes on to show that William Dafoe's son should have changed his name to DeFriend. I did say this video is going to contain entries from film and TV, so I'm kicking off my top 10 with an epic sequence from the highly coveted Battlestar Galactica. It's the moment where the Galactica is unable to fight or even run above New Caprica. That's when Adama tells the crew it's been an honor, and we have a zoom out of the Galactica being relentlessly beaten and unable to do anything when Pegasus comes past the camera instantly, putting one base star to rest. No wonder Galactica dropped like a stone. It had Adama's balls of steel weighing it down. There's so much to take from this scene apart from the fact that bro totally nails it with his rescue act. See, this is why I keep talking about going back to the good old days. The details on display are pretty impressive too, which is exactly why I've placed this scene so high up. This is probably the farthest any kind of reinforcements have had to travel, and that too, make it in the nick of time. The fact that Watney was able to hold on for so long was definitely an achievement and a half, but even then, you've got to give it to Lewis and the team for making sure they bring him back alive. It's such an uplifting moment because there's no villain as such, it's just a simple tale of survival. Of course, it's a pretty intense moment because the rescue scene could be interpreted as mankind's battle against the infinite void of space, but at the end of the day, we all get a happy ending. I love this film, and I love the fact that Sean Bean didn't randomly drop dead from a heart attack while celebrating. He has a 98% fatality rate in his movies and TV shows, so this was a nice change of heart from the scriptwriters.
Hold on, Mark.
Execute.
I'm sure you're pretty familiar with the meme from Captain Phillips, although I can't say the same about the movie. The fact that it's based on a true story only makes the whole thing more shocking, and I really want to shout out the real Captain Phillips for hanging on to his survivor's instinct. Also, the reinforcements happen to be the freaking US Navy. Could you imagine being the pirate here? You open the hatch, see a wall of some of the most advanced tech and weapons systems pointed at you, sirens going off, and then a guy is speaking to you in your native language. All of this over one guy. Heck, it's probably the first time they've ever seen a warship like this. And they'd never have thought it would have been from just one random guy. It was the equivalent of some alien ship coming down, pointing guns at you and saying, "We come in peace," in perfect English. Kudos to the actors for playing the pirates as well, especially Barkhad Abdi. He really turned it around with this performance.
Take him down! Put your hands down! Target the Reavers. Target the Reavers. Target everyone. Somebody fire!
Space battles always have a different kind of appeal, and when it comes to the one that we see in 2006 Serenity, there's a whole lot to admire. The thing that Serenity gets right, which other sci flicks rarely do, is the space battle. Space is three-dimensional, and that's very much shown in this scene when the ships start crisscrossing paths and utilizing that 3D space, thus making it kind of like a maze.
The hell? Okay.
This isn't just a case of reinforcements coming to the rescue, but also that of poetic justice. After all, it was the Alliance's folly that created the monsters which this Serenity crew baited into showing up to defeat the Alliance's very own armada. And the Alliance operative goes from cocky to, oh, we're so screwed. It's kind of like how Mal says when the whole thing kicks off, chickens come home to roost. The thing that always tickled me about this scene was the fact that it was literally Captain Reynolds forcing the Alliance to clean up their own mess. I also love how the operative acts all cocky without even changing course, and then a fleet of Reavers come out, so he does a complete 180 and just starts losing his marbles. It may not have been as memorable as the OG 300, but Rise of an Empire did show us something that its predecessor didn't back up. Okay, that might have been a cheap shot, but that only makes Leonidas' sacrifice that much grander. Anyway, Themistocles ain't the type of guy who could go down easily, which is why he gets rescued by Queen Gorgo and her Spartan army in an epic sequence. It's not like you need any help against Artemisia, although it was still quite saddening to see Eva Green bite the dust. Yeah, I know there's no historical accuracy here, but if you want to blame anyone, then blame the comics. They never intended to be that way in the first place. Also, Spartan women have definitely got some kind of kick to them, because Lena Headey was also killing it. I think it would have been fun if Cersei said shame to the Queen while ringing a bell, but then again, that's just me and my twisted sense of Game of Thrones humor. That a show as good as Firefly didn't get a longer run than one season, but I guess we should be thankful for at least enjoying 14 episodes. Now, the scene where River's about to be burnt like a fake witch comes across as pretty dark and scary, but then Captain Mal comes to the rescue with Zoe to make sure the religious fanatics don't act on their misjudgments. It's actually my favourite scene of the whole show.
Man's looking to kill some folks. So really, it's his will y'all should worry about thwarting.
What I love most about it is the fact that Mal at the beginning doesn't even bother pointing the gun at the village boss. He knows how to deal with such folks because he's done it many times.
Big damn hero, sir!
Ain't we just?
This is just a typical Monday for him. The village boss is presumably feared in the area, but not to Mal, not even a little bit. To Mal, this whole situation is just funny. He enjoys it so much that he takes the time for some banter with Zoe. Yeah, this is a crew that isn't to be messed with.
Well, look at this! Here's the guy there just in the nick of time. What does that make us?
Well, I don't think we've covered anything from Vikings, and that's a real shame because it truly is an amazing show. What they did over here with Bjorn's final scene alone is enough to solo the whole of Game of Thrones Season 8. Since this is the last season, there's so much context riding behind this sequence, which is why it's so impactful. For Bjorn to take all those arrows and still raise his sword to bring in the reinforcements was a boss move that very few can replicate. Plus, he barely even made a sound apart from a couple of grunts, so that's some serious tolerance right there. For all his flaws, Bjorn died a true Norse king. Ragnar was badass and fearless when he died, but Bjorn gave us his last breath on his horse, rising his sword in virtue of leading his people to victory and freedom until the end. He deserved his burial at his place in Valhalla. The competition between Star Wars and Star Trek will never see an end, but luckily, I'm a fan of both, so I don't mind either way. Entry number 3, however, is for Star Trek lovers, because it's an amazingly executed scene.
This is Captain James C. Kirk of the USS Enterprise. Our ship is compromised.
This is when Spock gets back up from the Enterprise, which gives us a pretty epic entrance with all guns blazing. After watching Vulcan's destruction, I was genuinely worried that they might kill Spock, so this was definitely a massive sigh of relief for me. Taking care of all those missiles eventually helped Spock collide the Elder Spock ship with Narada and make it vanish into the black hole it created. I mean, sure, it's a pretty risky moment, but it paid off, which is why it lands on such a high entry over here.
Arm phasers, fire everything we've got.
Yes, sir.
This one was kind of a no-brainer, because who doesn't like to be rescued by a ghost army, hey? Honestly speaking, this scene kind of felt like how you activate a cheat code in a game, because you've all but won the battle when you have a literal army of the dead fighting for you. This is also the part where Ewan defeats the Witch King, so that just serves as an added bonus. I particularly enjoyed how the army of the dead was just patiently waiting on Aragon to finish his dramatic entrance before revealing themselves. Those ghosts really turned out to be true bros at the end of the day. I also want to shout out to the part where Gimli gets astonished at Legolas killing an orphan, and he responds with, "That still only counts as one."
I am no man. Only one human captain has ever survived battle with the Minbari fleet. He is behind me. You are in front of me. If you value your lives, be somewhere else.
Taking the #1 spot is a TV show from the 90s that stands tall in front of all the content that's been churned out today. Babylon 5 had a lot to offer in terms of plot and entertainment.
All ships, return to base.
But I want to focus on this particular moment where Delenn shows up to remind Captain Drake that she's the one in charge. Sure, it's just a bunch of spaceships with 90s CGI coming to the fore, but it's the dominance with which Delenn speaks that really leaves an impact. She even gave us the most memorable line of the whole series when she said,
Alpha Squadron, form up on my wing. Delta Squadron, punch us a hole through there.
Confirmed.
"Only one human captain has ever survived battle with a Minbari fleet. He is behind me, you are in front of me. If you value your lives, be somewhere else." Personally, I would have surrendered right after hearing that line. Hope you liked that video. Please subscribe to the TV region, and here's another video that I know you're going to enjoy.